this thing? Oh. Hey everybody. I am comfy. I had to pull myself out of the bed because Jim Jordan and Fani Willis is going at it. Hey everybody. And so I didn't know what was going on. My dear mother called me to tell me what was going on. And now that I know what's going on, I think we should talk about it. Since TikTok got me shadow banned, I can't get more than 10,000 views on any given video these days. Hey Tiffany. Hey, yeah, Danny. We gonna go through it. Hey Charlie. Hey Paulie. Hey Sunshine. So we're gonna go through it. Figured I can reach more of you by going live than doing a video because TikTok is going to shadow ban it. Hey Stephanie. Yeah, of course you haven't seen me. TikTok, since this account came back, TikTok has been shadow banning the content. So it doesn't hit the For You page. And I don't even think my followers are getting the videos that I put out. Why are they doing that? I don't know. Why did they ban me? TikTok has no rhyme or reason, child. TikTok has no rhyme or reason. I don't have the complexion for the protection. It's because of y'all that they even brought the account back. I got another disco ball. That's what I'm putting together. This one's going to go right here. So I got to find some hanging plants to go in that one and 2 over here. Right, Chelsea? Yeah, they're shadow banning me. I don't know how long it'll be. I don't know if it's forever, but yeah. Thank you, Laura. So here's what's going on. Jim Jordan is doing what Jim Jordan does. Hey, sister girl, Jess. Jim Jordan is doing what Jim Jordan does, which is try to insert himself into these investigations that are going on at the state level. Remember, he tried it with Alvin Bragg in New York. And so now he's trying it with Fani here in Georgia. Fani here in Georgia. And yeah, Fani is a black woman. She's an educated black woman. She knows her ish. And she is not intimidated by racist white men. Not at all. And so today, Jim Jordan tweeted. Here's the tweet. That's the tweet. He tweeted from the House Judiciary GOP account over on Twitter. And it says, at Jim Jordan launches inquiry into alleged prosecutorial abuses by Office of Special Counsel, which is Jack Smith. Oh, he's going at it with Jack Smith too. Remember, I was like, he sure got a lot. He got a lot when it comes to Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis, but you notice he ain't done nothing with the white man who's filed charges against Donald Trump. So now he's doing an investigation for prosecutorial misconduct into Jack Smith. At the same time, he sent, I don't know, let me find what he sent to Fani Willis. Hold on. He sent a letter to her demanding, let me find it. I talked about this a while ago. See if I can find it. Let me do it this way. Everything I see is Fulton County DA blasts Jim Jordan. Fulton County DA eviscerates Jim Jordan. Okay, here we go. Oh, this is a video. I don't want the video. Here it is, hopefully. You know, their whole position is just to okay, here it is. Obstruct justice. This is Jim Jordan's letter. You can't see it, but Honorable Fani T. Willis, on August 14th, you brought a 41-count indictment against 19 defendants, including former President of the United States. On August 14, 2023, you brought a 41-count indictment against 19 defendants, including a former President of the United States and current declared candidate for that office. His attorneys, a former White House Chief of Staff, and a former U.S. Department of Justice official related to the 2020 election for President of the United States, among other things. You have alleged that these 19 individuals, 30 unindicted co-conspirators, and others were part of a criminal enterprise, and you have identified a number of acts that you claim were committed in furtherance of this purported criminal enterprise, including 1, the then White House Chief of Staff asking a member of Congress for the phone number of the Speaker of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. 2, the then president tweeting that hearings in the Georgia legislature were being aired on news channels and commenting on those hearings. And 3, numerous acts taking place in other states not involving the conduct of the 2020 election in Georgia or the counting of the votes cast in Georgia. Your indictment and prosecution implicates substantial federal interests, and the circumstances surrounding your actions raise serious concerns about whether they are politically motivated. This is the letter that Jim Jordan sent to Fani T. Willis. Fani T. Willis. Turning first to the question of motivation, it is noteworthy that just 4 days before this indictment, you launched a new campaign fundraising website that highlighted your investigation into President Trump. Additionally, the forewoman of the special grand jury you convened to investigate President Trump earlier this year bragged during an unusual media tour about her excitement at the prospect of subpoenaing President Trump and getting to swear him in. Last week, the Fulton County Superior Court clerks publicly released a list of criminal charges against President Trump, reportedly hours before the vote of the grand jury. Now, that did happen, y'all. It was an error on behalf of the clerk. She uploaded the indictment or a portion of the indictment to the website, and that's what he's talking about. He goes on to say, a Fulton County clerk has disqualified you from targeting current Georgia Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones as part of your probe on the grounds that you actively supported and held fundraising events for his Democratic opponent. And unlike officials in other jurisdictions, Fulton County officials have suggested they will process the former president as a typical criminal defendant, requiring mugshots and possibly even a cash bond. Charlie goes on and on and on. I'm not interested in what Jim Jordan had to say because it's all nonsense, and it's probably all built on lies and innuendo and rumor and conspiracy and not truth. It's not based on what is in the indictment. It's not based on that. It's based on nonsense. It's to get the base excited and riled up. Look at our congressmen. They're standing up to the black woman down in Georgia. You know what I mean? Yeah. But this is Fani's response to Jim Jordan's letter. Remember when I went live and we talked about it, I said if I was Fani Willis, I would get a copy of Alvin Bragg's letter and just sign it on underneath Alvin Bragg's signature and send it on over to him. That's what I said, but I ain't Fani Willis. Fani Willis responded with a 9-page letter, and we get ready to read it. Every last bit of it. Every last bit of it. We getting ready to read it. And then I'm going out to play in my garden. Hey, everybody. Yes, Aaron, Jim Jordan. You know, he has to do his thing so he can stay in the good graces of Donald Trump. This is part of his job. Glory says, I'm ready. All right, so this is from the Office of the Fulton County District Attorney, Atlanta Judicial Circuit. Puts the address. She titles it, Congressman Jim Jordan, Chairman, Committee on the Judiciary, United States House Representatives, 2138, the address, all of that stuff. When are they working for the people? Because it seems to me that all that they're doing is on behalf of Donald Trump. Even the investigation into Hunter Biden, it's all on behalf of Donald Trump. So when are they literally working for the people? They're not. Okay. Dear Mr. Jordan, I have received your letter dated. You know, this is going to have, it's going to be professional, but this letter is going to have Black woman magic sauce all throughout it. Y'all know that, right? Okay. Dear Mr. Jordan, I have received your letter dated August 24, 2023. On August 14, a Fulton County grand jury returned a true bill of indictment charging 19 defendants with felony violations of Georgia law, including violation of Georgia's Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization Act. That is the RICO Act. Beyond that recitation of the charges, your letter contains, in the first paragraph, beyond the recitation of the charges, your letter contains inaccurate information and misleading statements. The true bill of indictment returned on August 14, 2023 is attached as Exhibit A. So she sent a copy of the indictment. I think the indictment was 100 pages long. I don't know. I didn't read it. I didn't read it because it was so long. 1, your attempt to interfere with and obstruction this office prosecution of state criminal cases is unconstitutional. As you know, Chairman Jordan, the congressional power of inquiry is not unlimited. She cites a case, Watkins versus the United States, 354 U.S. 178-187, 1957. Congress is not a law enforcement or a trial agency. That function is reserved only for the executive and judicial departments of the government. Moreover, investigations conducted solely for the personal aggrandizement of the investigators or to punish those investigated and are indefensible. More fundamentally, a congressional subpoena is valid only if it is related to and in furtherance of a legitimate task of Congress. So in other words, you got no jurisdiction over here. Furthermore, let me cite these cases because clearly you have no idea of how any of this works. Your letter offends each and every one of these settled principles. Its obvious purpose is to obstruct a Georgia criminal proceeding and to advance outrageous partisan misrepresentations. As I make clear below, there is no justification in the Constitution for Congress to interfere with a state criminal matter, as you attempt to do. Furthermore, your note calls to mind another letter recently submitted to a House Select Committee. This unprecedented action serves no legitimate legislative purpose and would set a dangerous precedent for future Congresses. The American people deserve better. See letter from Representative Jordan to Chairman Benny Thompson, dated January 9, 2022. Then she goes into A, your letter offend. Oh, she getting ready to break it down, okay? A, your letter offends principle of state sovereignty. The demands in your letter and your efforts at intruding upon the state of Georgia's criminal authority violate constitutional principles of federalism. Criminal prosecutions under state law are primarily the responsibility of state governments. Congress's lawful prerogative to interfere with states' administration of their criminal laws is extremely limited. And she cites another case. See Charles W. Johnson, ETAL, House Practice, a guide to the rules, precedents, and procedures of the House at 254. The investigative power cannot be used to inquire into matters which are reserved to the states. As the Supreme Court held in United States versus Lopez, under our federal system, the states possess primary authority for defining and enforcing the criminal law. See also United States versus Morrison. Quote, we can think of no better example of the police power which the founders denied the national government and reposed in the states that the suppression of crime and vindication of its victims. End quote. Indeed, because the power to create and enforce state criminal law is an attribute of state sovereignty reserved by the 10th Amendment, it is necessary a power the Constitution has not conferred on Congress. New York versus the United States. Emphasis added. The Supreme Court has thus recognized a fundamental policy against federal interference with state criminal prosecutions. She cites another case, Younger versus Harris, Accord Mesa versus California, Cameron versus Johnson. So she cited 3 cases. Pursuant to that rule, the federal government must observe a strict policy of no interference with state officers who are charged with the duty of prosecuting offenders against the laws of the state and must decide when and how this is to be done. She cites another case, Younger, 401 U.S. at 45. See also Rose versus Mitchell. Quote, the court repeatedly has recognized that criminal law is primarily the business of the states and that absent the most extraordinary circumstances, the federal court should not interfere with the state's administration of the law. End quote. She cites another case, Gary versus Georgia Diagnostic Prison. She goes on to say what is true of federal courts is doubly true of federal legislators, given state sovereignty over state criminal law. Congress has hardly any role to play in meddling with its sound administration. In light of these principles, your attempt to invoke congressional authority to intrude upon and interfere with an active criminal case in Georgia is flagrantly at odds with the Constitution. The defendants in this case have been charged under state law with committing state crimes. There is absolutely no support for Congress purporting to second guess or somehow supervise an ongoing Georgia criminal investigation and prosecution. That violation of Georgia's sovereignty is offensive and will not stand. See Puerto Rico versus Sanchez Valley. Holding that states enjoy the authority to undertake criminal prosecutions by virtue of their position as separate sovereigns. I told you there was going to be black girl sauce all throughout this. We're going on to B. Your letter transgresses separation of powers and principles. In addition, your demand for information regarding an ongoing criminal prosecution, a core executive function, is offensive to any notion of separation of powers that recognizes the distinct roles of the executive and legislative functions of government. As the Supreme Court has explained, the executive branch has exclusive authority and absolute discretion to decide whether to prosecute a case. Congress, in contrast, is barred by precedent from using investigations for law enforcement purposes, holding that Congress may not invoke its subpoena power to interfere with a case pending in a court of competent jurisdiction. You have thus violated the basic constitutional rule that the power to investigate must not be confused with any of the powers of law enforcement. Those powers are assigned under our Constitution to the executive and the judiciary. She cites a case, Quinn versus United States. Indeed, given that two of your requests concern any documents or communication among federal officials, we must note the position taken on similar matters by the United States Justice Department. As a leading scholar writes, quote, Congress seems generally to have been respectful of the need to protect material contained in open federal criminal investigative files. She cites some cases. I ain't going to read them. More recently, DOJ explained that, quote, long-standing department policy prevents us from confirming or denying the existence of pending investigation in response to congressional requests for providing non-public information about our investigations. Letter from Assistant Attorney General Carlos Uriarte to Chairman Jordan dated January 20, 2023 at page 3 through 4, as DOJ emphasized, quote, the department's mission to independently and impartially uphold the rule of law requires us to maintain the integrity of our investigations, prosecutions, and civil actions, and to avoid even a perception that our efforts are influenced by anything but the law and the facts. So does the department's obligation to protect witnesses and law enforcement avoid flight by implicated in our investigations and prevent additional crimes and attacks. Those points are equally true here. Given that your inquiry implicates core federalism and separation of powers concerns, the careful inquiry imposed by Mazars further constricts your lawful authority. He has none. Under that test, federal courts must, 1, carefully assess whether the asserted legislative purpose warrants the significant step of involving the target of the investigation, including by asking whether other sources could reasonably provide Congress the information it needs. 2, insist on a subpoena no broader than reasonably necessary to support Congress' legislative objective. 3, be attentive to the nature of the evidence offered by Congress to establish that a subpoena advances a valid legislative purpose. And 4, assesses the burdens imposed by a subpoena. For the reasons set forth in this letter, it is clear that you cannot satisfy any of these constitutional requirements, let alone all of them, in the inquiry that you described. C, your letter improperly interferes with the administration of criminal justice. There are extremely good reasons why congressional committees have historically avoided interfering with criminal trial proceedings, sharing non-public information about pending criminal interfering with criminal trial. Sharing non-public information about pending criminal matters may violate local and state confidentiality obligations and professional ethics rules. It may also prejudice defendants, victims, or witnesses, or affect the overall integrity of proceedings. In some cases, it could produce a bizarre dual-track discovery scheme that circumvents court rules that are carefully calibrated to ensure compliance with principles of sound criminal procedure. For these reasons, objections to a criminal investigation or prosecution are properly raised, at least in the first instance, at courts with lawful jurisdiction, not through partisan legislative inquiries. The courts in the state of Georgia are fully up to the task of adjudicating the rights of all parties at issues. Returning to first principles, federal courts have recognized the need for a zone of non-interfering around prosecutorial decision-making within our criminal justice system, quote, so long as the prosecutor has probable cause to believe that the accused committed an offense defined by statute, the decision whether or not to prosecute and what charge to file or bring before a grand jury generally rests entirely in the prosecutor's discretion. Courts are therefore properly hesitant to review prosecution decisions under the United States Constitution, since examining the basis of a prosecution delays the criminal proceeding, threatens to chill law enforcement by subjecting the prosecutor's motives and decision-making to outside inquiry, and may undermine prosecutorial effectiveness by revealing the government's enforcement policy. Congress has even less of an appropriate basis to interfere in criminal matters. As an expert on the subject writes, quote, the Constitution excludes Congress from any involvement in prosecutorial decisions in individual cases even more forcefully than it excludes the judiciary and requires federal prosecutorial independence from congressional interference in order to protect individual liberty and preserve the integrity of the criminal justice system. She cites some criminal cases. Of course, while it is disturbing for Congress to involve itself in federal cases, it is even more troubling for Congress to tread upon state criminal matters that are doubly beyond its constitutional authority. Here, your letter seeks the revelation of non-public and privileged information concerning my office's investigation and prosecution of a specific case. Your public statements and your letter itself make clear that you lack any legitimate legislative purpose for that inquiry. Your job description as a legislator does not include criminal law enforcement, nor does it include supervising a specific criminal trial, because you believe that doing so will promote your partisan political objectives. Baby, is not in your job description, Jim Jordan. Wait. Okay. This leads me to a critical point. Quote, every president takes office knowing that he will be subject to the same laws as all other citizens upon leaving office. This is a feature of our democratic republic, not a bug. She cites some cases. And where are we? Indeed, even Mr. Trump himself has acknowledged before the U.S. Supreme Court that state grand juries are free to investigate a sitting president with an eye toward charging him after the completion of his term. Trump versus Vance. For the rule of law to prevail, nobody should be permitted to violate state criminal law with impunity. Woo. D, your letter burdens the deliberate process privilege. Beyond the many problems that I have already identified, your letter fails to recognize the deliberate process privilege. This privilege protects information regarding a government official's decision-making process to allow her the ability to engage in the necessary investigative and deliberative process to make informed decisions. She cites a whole bunch of cases with this one. Your attempts at probing communications among and involving counsel in my office are wholly improper. 2, my voluntary responses to portions of your letter are below. While settled constitutional law clearly permits me to ignore your unjustified and illegal intrusion into an open state criminal prosecution, I will take a moment to voluntarily respond to parts of your letter. Baby, she says, I don't have to do this. I don't even have to respond to you. First of all, the letter that you sent me was unjustified, and it was an illegal intrusion into an open criminal prosecution. But I will volunteer to respond to parts of your letter. Chairman Jordan, I tell people often, deal with reality or reality will deal with you. It is time that you deal with some basic realities. A special purpose grand jury made up of everyday citizens investigated for 10 months and made recommendations to me. A further reality is that a grand jury of completely different Fulton County citizens found probable cause against the defendants named in the indictment for RICO violations and various other felonies. Face this reality, Chairman Jordan. This is in the letter, baby. I'm not ad-libbing here. No, this is in the letter. She italicized it. Face this reality, Chairman Jordan. The select group of defendants who you fret over in my jurisdiction are like every other defendant, entitled to no worse or better treatment than any other American citizen. A, your notion that different standards of justice should apply to a select group of people is offensive. She get ready to go in italics again, okay? Here is another reality you must face. Those who wish to avoid felony charges in Fulton County, Georgia, including violations of the Georgia RICO law, should not commit felonies in Fulton County, Georgia. Baby, listen, We're getting a kick out of this. But Jim Jordan will not be the least bit embarrassed. He will not feel shame in any kind of way. In this jurisdiction, every person is subject to the same laws and the same process, because every person is entitled to the same dignity and is held to the same standard of responsibility. Persons' socioeconomic status, race, gender, sexual orientation, or political prominence does not entitle them to an exemption from that basic standard. B. Defendant Trump's status as a political candidate cannot make him legally immune from criminal prosecution. The basic premise of your letter is wrong. The criminal defendant, she is addressing Donald Trump as the criminal defendant. The criminal defendant about which you expressed concern was fully aware of the existence of the criminal investigation being conducted by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. At the time he announced his candidacy for president. Exactly. He knew that this investigation was happening. He knew this investigation was happening. He decided to run for president anyway. And he did it in the hopes of winning so that he won't have to face the consequences should he be found guilty, or he would make this go away altogether. Okay, where was I? Okay, I have no doubt that many Americans are the subject of criminal investigations and prosecutions at any given moment. An announcement of a candidacy for elected office, whether President of the United States, Congress, or state or local office, is not and cannot be a bar to criminal investigation or prosecution. Any notion to the contrary is offensive to our democracy and to the fundamental principle that all people are equal before the law. C. An explanation of the basic obligations of a prosecutor is below. Your letter makes clear that you lack... Oh my God. Hold on to your seat, folks. Hold on. Wait, let me take a sip. Baby, your letter makes clear that you lack a basic understanding of the law, its practice, and the ethical obligations of attorneys generally and prosecutors specifically. Baby, she is ripping his ass up. Let's continue. I direct your attention to OCGA. What is that? OCG. Okay, I'll do this later. I direct your attention to OCGA. Subsection 4 imposes upon me as a district attorney the duty to draw up all indictments or presentments when requested by the grand jury and to prosecute all indictable offenses. Subsection 11 requires me to assist victims and witnesses of crimes through the complexities of the criminal justice system and ensure that the victims of the crimes are apprised of the rights afforded them under the law. And 12 requires that district attorneys perform such other duties as are or may be required by law or which necessarily appertain to their office. As I explained above, the defendants about whom you express concern have been indicted by a Fulton County grand jury. That indictment identifies victims. The state of Georgia's Constitution and laws impose a duty upon me to protect, serve, and seek justice on their behalf. I will fulfill that duty in this case, notwithstanding your attempt to interfere. Furthermore, I have exercised my duties as the chief law enforcement officer for Fulton County independently and based on my obligations to the citizens of Georgia under our Constitution and laws, and nothing will deter me from the just, fair, and proper enforcement of the law. Your questioning of the overt and predicate acts listed in the indictment is misinformed. Your questioning of the inclusion of overt and predicate acts by the defendants in the indictment's racketeering count shows a total ignorance of Georgia's racketeering statute and the basics of criminal conspiracy law. Allow me the opportunity to provide a brief tutorial on criminal conspiracy law, Chairman Jordan. Baby. As I explained to the public when announcing the indictment, the overt and predicate acts are included because the grand jury found probable cause that those acts were committed to advance the objectives of a criminal conspiracy to overturn the result of Georgia's 2020 presidential election. For a more thorough understanding of Georgia's RICO statute, its application, and similar laws in other states, I encourage you to read RICO state by state. As a non-member of the bar, you can purchase a copy for $249. Damn! I wasn't expecting this much brown girl sauce. I was not expecting this much, okay? E, your questioning of the length of the investigation and timing of the indictment is unfounded. Your letter raises questions about the length of time this investigation has taken. This investigation began with my office believing that critical witnesses would cooperate. Several witnesses did, in fact, voluntarily come forward and cooperate, and we were able to collect pertinent evidence during calendar year 2021. Many witnesses, however, were uncooperative and required subpoenas to compel their cooperation. As a result of this resistance, we requested and received authorization from the Fulton County Superior Court judges to convene a special purpose grand jury to compel testimony and production of documentary evidence. You will find attached as Exhibit B my letter dated January 20th, 2022, to then Chief Judge Christopher S. Brasher requesting a SPGJ, which means a special purpose grand jury. On January 24th, 2022, the Fulton County Superior Court judges authorized a special purpose grand jury to be impaneled on May 2nd, 2022, the beginning of the third term of the court of that year. The order granted my request that the special purpose grand jury be empowered to investigate possible criminal disruptions of Georgia's administration of the 2022 presidential election. The impaneling order is attached as Exhibit C. Rather than accept service or lawful subpoenas from the special purpose grand jury, multiple out-of-state witnesses chose to resist compliance and forced my office to litigate in multiple state and federal courts to obtain orders compelling their appearance. Lindsey Graham would be one of them. That's me adding that in. That's not part of the letter. That's me adding it in. We all know Lindsey Graham is in a different state and he didn't want to come here. He didn't want to testify. He didn't want to adhere to no subpoena, right? The judge had to make him bring his ass in here to testify, remember? Okay. For example, oh, she put his name in here. She put his name in here. For example, Senator Lindsey Graham, the ranking minority member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, was a witness who refused to voluntarily comply and required my office to obtain a decision affirming his obligation to testify from the United States Supreme Court. Baby, I didn't think she was going to put his name, but she did. Fani said, I ain't scared. I ain't never scared. Okay, wait. Where am I? That is but one example of the use of litigation by a witness to resist providing information to this investigation and to delay justice. As a result of the litigation necessary to overcome this resistance, the special, the special purpose grand jury required 8 months to complete its investigation and was released in January of 2023. It should be noted that this was 4 months before the expiration of their term on May 2nd, 2023. If you are sincerely interested in improving federal law, I encourage you to make it incumbent upon your congressional colleagues to cooperate with lawful investigations without requiring intervention by the highest court in the land. That would be a productive federal initiative. Baby, she said, if you want to do something that really matters, Jim Jordan, then why don't y'all do what y'all supposed to do when y'all are subpoenaed? That's what you do. That's what you do. Baby. Okay. We ain't got that much more to go. Okay. F. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office has used federal grant funding for its intended purposes. You have no basis for your implication that this office has inappropriately spent federal funds. This office receives federal grant funds via United States Department of Justice programs and has received local and national recognition for its work with community partners on grant-funded programs. I have attached a summary of our programs funded with federal grant dollars as Exhibit E. You will note that the grant-funded programs include our nationally recognized initiative to process long-neglected sexual assault kits and prosecute dangerous sexual offenders who are identified via DNA results. These prosecutions are handled through the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative grant. We also receive federal grant funds for our groundbreaking hate crimes prosecution programs, our community violence interruption efforts, and our programs with at-risk children. If you and your colleagues follow through on your threats to deny this office federal funds, please be aware that you will be deciding to allow serial rapists to go unprosecuted, hate crimes to be unaddressed, and to cancel programs for at-risk children. Such vengeful, uncalled for legislative action would impose serious harm on the citizens we serve, including the fact that it will make them less safe. Baby, she said, okay, you want to threaten to take away our funding? Feel free. If you take away our funding, this is what will happen. And she laid it all out there for everybody to see. This woman is the bomb. I knew she was a bad sister, but I didn't know she was a bad sister. Where am I? Please note that the U.S. Department of Justice keeps meticulous records of our grant funding, and I invite you to request this information from them. She said, all right. She says, if you want to test what I'm saying, you need proof, reach out to the Department of Justice. They got meticulous records of what we do when we are using grant funding. You will undoubtedly be proud of the amazing work that has been done to serve victims with this funding, and you will discover that this office is in compliance with the terms of its grant funding. So in other words, you take away our funding, there's no just cause for it. How are you going to explain it? Our community violence interruption program, also funded by a U.S. Department of Justice grant, has been nationally recognized. The United States Attorney General singled out our program for praise at a national conference on February 16, 2023. The leader of our program was honored as a presenter of July 19, 2023 at a conference on protecting children from violence sponsored by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. That's the CDC. Those are the sort of joint federal state initiatives that you and your colleagues are threatening to defund because you are offended that a select group of people have been indicted. G. Your allegations that I have used this prosecution for political benefit are unfounded. Your letter makes allegations that I have somehow used the investigation and prosecution about which you have inquired in a political manner. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, the allegations that you raise are thoroughly debunked and rated false by independent fact-checking website PolitiFact. In PolitiFact, did Fulton County DA Fani Willis campaign to get Trump? No, she didn't do that. It's lies. That's what the MAGA crowd is putting out there to invalidate what it is that she's doing, right? To remove credibility from Fani Willis and her investigation. This is what they're doing. This is what they were saying. It's lies. H, below are suggestions from, oh shit. Oh shit, Fani. Okay. Below are suggestions for productive activity by the U.S. House Judiciary Committee. Baby, she getting ready to tell them what they can do productively. She getting ready to list it all out. This is what you could be doing. I do have some suggestions on how you can engage in productive legislative activity. First, victim witness advocates who take care of vulnerable victims and witnesses in prosecutors' offices across the United States are grossly underpaid. Many have advanced degrees and specialized training on serving people in distress. Fulton County, Georgia, like many jurisdictions, face significant challenges in recruiting and retaining such highly trained, dedicated public servants at current pay rates. Congress should provide more funding to states and localities for victim witness advocates' pay and ensure that such funding flows to the jurisdictions that need it most. Second, the federal government, as noted above, has admirably provided funding so that local prosecutors can investigate old rape cases via the SAKI grant. Federal grant funding has allowed us to test a portion of untested old rape kits. That testing revealed that in a batch of approximately 1,500 untested Fulton County kits dating back to the 1990s, DNA from 40 different serial rapists was found. Federal grant funding should be increased to allow the testing of all untested rape kits, as well as the capacity for the successful investigation and prosecution of offenders identified by that testing. That initiative would make America a much safer place. Third, baby, since I got your attention and since everybody's going to be talking about this letter because I ripped you up from the rooter to the tutor, I'm going to let everybody know what we need here in this office. Baby, the boss. The boss. Third, the federal government is funding a program to turn children around who find themselves in trouble with the criminal justice system. We partner with the United States Attorney's Office in Atlanta to sponsor the Credible Messengers program, which matches at-risk youth with adults who have been in trouble and who can share their own life experiences and serve as mentors who show them a better way. You can learn more about the program by watching program Aims to Keep Kids Out of Gangs, WSB TV Channel 2 Atlanta. This program, while valuable, has a very limited capacity and leaves too many youths in need unserved. Congress should greatly expand it. Fourth, state crime labs across the nation are not properly funded. In fact, Georgia's state crime lab is so overwhelmed, its leadership informed me that it does not have the capacity to test drugs like fentanyl or firearms used in violent crimes in a timely manner and referred us to private testers to obtain necessary evidence. Further, Georgia's state crime lab does not have the adequate financial resources to properly pay their scientists, test kits, drugs, or other scientific evidence in a timely manner. Yeah, since you and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz are always talking about the fentanyl crisis and the drugs that's coming over from the border, fentanyl. Yeah, here's something you could actually do that would make a difference. But yeah, you really don't want to do this. Congress must take action to address this crisis by providing resources to state crime labs to test evidence so that cases can be moved expeditiously. Lastly, the safety of persons serving in the criminal justice system should be a primary concern of yours. As it seems, you have a personal interest in the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. You should consider directing the United States Department of Justice to investigate. I love this woman. I love her. I love this woman. I love this woman. Let me start over. As it seems, you have a personal interest in the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. You should consider directing the United States Department of Justice to investigate the racist threats that have come to my staff and me because of this investigation. For your information, I am attaching 10 examples of threats this office has received. See Exhibits F through O. I am providing these examples to give you a window into what has happened to my staff and me as I keep the promise of my oath to the United States and Georgia constitutions and do not allow myself to be bullied and threatened by members of Congress, local elected officials, or others who believe Lady Justice should not be blind and that America has different laws for different citizens. Yours in service, Fani T. Willis. That's a mic drop. Oh, thank you. That's a mic drop. Because we all know that the reason why she's getting these death threats, these racist attacks, is because of the likes of Jim Jordan. He announces that he's inquiring about this investigation, knowing he has no authority. He has none. But he does it. And it sends a signal to the crazy people in the MAGA crowd. This is why he's doing what he's doing, along with trying to interfere or obstruct on Donald Trump's behalf. He does it to make it look like to the base he's standing up for Donald Trump, right? Baby, she read this man. He should be arrested for obstruction. Because that's all of this is. This is. It annoys me. It annoys me. Now, I said Fani should just sign the letter that Alvin Bragg said, but I am so happy that she did what she did. It's all performance on Jim Jordan's part, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I knew there was going to be brown girl sauce. I knew it. But I didn't know we was going to be drenched with brown girl sauce. I didn't know we was going to be drenched with brown girl sauce. Yes, you do, Irish. Yeah, you do. But the thing about it is, this letter that she sent to him, along with the attachments to prove everything that she's talking about, he ain't going to read it. He is not going to read it. The MAGA nuts out there, they're not even going to read her letter. Another reason why I think he tries to interfere into these investigations is because he's hoping that someone will send him some type of information that he can then turn over to Donald Trump that would help his case. She splashed some seasoning on him. Baby, he drowning. Tamika, I just read Fani's letter that she sent to Jim Jordan. Basically telling him he's ignorant. He don't know the law. He doesn't even know the Constitution. What else did she tell him, y'all? He's ignorant. He don't know the law. She gave him a source that he could look up so he can learn some portions of the law. She basically told him he don't know his job. Here, this is some of the things that you should be doing. And then here's some of the things that you could be doing. And since I got your attention, this is all of the stuff that we need here in Georgia. And, district attorney's office all across the United States could also use this stuff as well. What was that about the bar? She told him he wasn't a member. Since he was a member that has never taken the bar or something like that. And then she gave him, you can buy this book for $249. It will help you out. Baby, she basically let him know, you messing with the wrong one. You don't want none of this. And then she said, if you wanted this investigation to move faster, then maybe some of the people within your own house could have stood up and participated and do what was requested of them instead of making us go through hoops to get them to come in to tell us what we needed to know. That's another thing you could do. How about doing federal law so that we don't have to jump through hoops to get you criminals up there in Congress to come in and testify? Baby, she laid it all out. Letters from F through O. She told him he was a liar. He was spreading misinformation. She basically told him that he was intervening on behalf of Donald Trump, where she ain't trying to hear that. Everybody is treated equally under the law. Baby. Baby. If you missed the reading, I will be downloading this and putting it up over on the YT. He ain't gonna read it. He ain't gonna read it, but baby, he gonna see what everybody else is saying. I told you when I first started the live, I was looking for something. I was looking for Jim Jordan's letter. And when you put in Jim Jordan and Fani Willis, all of the headlines read, Fani Willis sends scathing letter to Jim Jordan. Fani Willis rips Jim Jordan. Fani Willis destroys Jim Jordan, baby. He won't read it, but all of the journalists are reading it. And so she's trending over on Twitter. She's trending. She and he are trending. She's trending because she ripped his ass up. He's trending because she ripped his ass up. That's it. That's it. she called out Lindsey Graham. Yes, yes, they're going to be talking about it on MSNBC. I know for sure they're going to be talking about it on MSNBC. Yes, I know for sure they're going to be talking about it on MSNBC. Maybe Lawrence O'Donnell. There's enough time for Lawrence O'Donnell's people to read this letter. And I don't know if there's enough time for Joy Reid's staff to read it and put together, commentary on it. But I think there's enough time for Lawrence and his staff to read it and put some commentary to talk about it tonight. Joy Reid, if she doesn't hint to it or, do a small snippet about it, she definitely will do it tomorrow. She's not going to talk about this. Spaded and neutered. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody is talking about it. I'm scrolling. Everybody is talking about it. Baby, y'all know I follow a bunch of journalists. That's who I follow. I follow a bunch of journalists. Agree or disagree, it is time to not only fire Jim Jordan, but lock him up for consistently trying to illegally interfere in the judicial process. Fani Willis isn't playing that Republican bull-ish. She's basically told Jim Jordan to take his little demand letter and shove it. These are people talking about it over on Twitter. Fulton County DA Fani Willis responds to House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan about his panel's probe of her criminal investigation. Quote, "There is no justification in the Constitution for Congress to interfere with a state criminal matter as you attempt to do." End quote. They all talking about it. DA Fani Willis to Jim Jordan. Quote, "Since you like to investigate stuff, check into the attacks your meddling brought to my office. I would never allow you to bully us while we sit here doing our jobs better than you could ever do yours. Child, go play with somebody else." Baby, they're all talking about it over on Twitter. Yes. I need to read what's going on between him and Jack Smith. Jack Smith he ain't thinking about Jim Jordan. Will he take the time to put one of these together? I don't know. Baby, listen at this. In case you missed it, the best part of Fani Willis's epic letter to Jim Jordan was offering the Judiciary Chairman a tutorial on how justice works. Yep, that's what she did. That's what she did. Her epic burn is not to be missed. First, she offered to give a brief tutorial on the basic obligations of a prosecutor. Yep, she did. And also RICO law. She did. Quote, "Your letter makes clear that you lack a basic understanding of the law, its practice, and the ethical obligations of attorneys general and prosecutors." Baby, as a non-member of the bar, you can purchase a copy for $249. And all of this can be explained to you. You can educate yourself, Jim Jordan. You don't need me to educate you. There's no reason for you to continue to be out here looking like a plumb fool, ignorant and uneducated. There's no reason for it, Jim Jordan. $249. You can use money from your funds, your congressman funds, baby. Listen, I'll put a link to the letter in my link tree so you all can get it and download it and share it on your social media sites or whatever you want to do. You can do that, okay? And you can share this video once it's uploaded over on YouTube, on your social media sites. I'm telling you, I had a good time reading this one. I had a good time reading. Did y'all have a good time? I had a good time reading this with y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Yes, he does, Betty. Now, they may not get along politically, but in this situation, Brian Kemp says, my name Bennett, I ain't in it. Listen, I like my enemy more than I like you, Donald Trump. So, yeah, I support her. I support her. Baby, I'm glad y'all had a good time. I'm going to go out and try to plant some tomatoes. I got some seeds. Thank y'all for the gifts. I'm going to plant some tomatoes. I got some Swiss chard to plant. I got some romaine lettuce to plant. I got some celery to plant. And I got some broccoli. Thank y'all for the gifts. I appreciate each and every one of you. Your tomatoes are dying. Check your tomato plants for critters. I had to get rid of some critters. Those critters, they suck on the leaves, the stem, and they suck out all of the nutrients. Check your plant for critters. Thank you for mentioning that, because I got some neem oil that I'm going to spray on my plants. Get some neem oil. Let me show you, Tamika. Home Depot. You can get it. Whiskey Sleep. Neem oil. You can get it at Home Depot. You can get it from Amazon, but they definitely have it at Home Depot because I got it from Home Depot. You hear him now? You heard his name. Okay, Tamika? That's what's happening. Over the course of 2 days, I found 3 of those critters, and they sit and they suck and chew on your leaves, which slowly destroys the plant. So I got these seeds, and the tomatoes are like a purple color. They're downstairs. Oh, I want to plant this cauliflower. So I'm going to go out and plant real quick while the sun is going down. Yeah, he's out there. They breaking the letter down on MSNBC, Audrey, baby. Okay, let me get my little speaker so I can go out on my back porch and listen to the breakdown. Y'all have a wonderful evening. I appreciate you all. And thank you to my moderators. I appreciate you all for being in here and getting rid of the riffraff. I couldn't do it without y'all. I really could. If y'all wasn't here, it would just be trolls, hateful trolls in here. They keep it nice and clean in here for us, and I appreciate them. All right. So I'll see y'all later. Bye. Oh Lord, I can never. No, that ain't what I want. Swipe left. Yeah, I'm swiping left. Don't mind me, y'all. I'm just trying to come out of here. You just added the neem oil? There we go. Yeah, I'm getting ready to go spray the plants down now. And I bought this cover. I'll show you. If you follow me on the other account where I talk about all of my gardening and my plants and stuff like that, I'll share that information over there. All right. I'll see y'all later.